All right, you grasshoppers, it is that special time of the week again where everybody just sits their weights, like everybody just got pins and needles. Will we see some skin? Will Mark have a shirt on at all? We're beginning, and again, you know what? You're doing it for the rest of the world. You don't want the rest of the men in the world to feel bad.
I don't want anybody to feel less than worthy.
Yeah. You're a good man. You're a good man. You're a giver.
I'm definitely a giver, without a doubt.
Definitely. Yeah. So again, this is Mark Puttenvink, good friend of mine. Actually, do you know who I spoke to? I forgot to tell you. I talked to Walt Kyle the other day.
You did?
Walt Kyle was my old college roommate, and Walt became an assistant coach with the Rangers many years ago when Mark was working with the Rangers. So good to catch up with him.
Yeah.
So Walt's a great guy too. He's a really interesting story. So I first year that I was at Northern was first year they had a hockey program, 1976, 77. Walt's brother came in the next year, junior, we call him John. And then Walt transferred the following year from Boston College. Had to sit out a year.
Played there with Rob Reilly, another friend of mine who coached up at West Point for quite a while.
And Walt and John and I all lived together. My senior year, we went to the national championship together. We were the number one ranked team in the country. We made good friends. It's just one of those deals, kind of lost touch. Really, he'd been married once before. Because he'd gone through a cancer battle, chemo, he didn't have the ability to father children. So he and his ex-wife had adopted 4 kids, I believe.
Yeah. We actually talked about that quite often because I was adopted as well.
That's right. Yes, that's right.
That's
right. And then he got remarried, and he and his new wife had a baby. So he also obviously did the in vitro, but she had a child. So he's 66 years old. He's got a 2-year-old. He says it's the best thing that's ever happened. So I know a lot of people. Like a lot of we talked about a lot because I think he feels like he's done the things that he's wanted to do in his life. All the coaching, all that kind of stuff. He still wants to keep going. He's actively. He's in the agent business actually now. But he's more relaxed. He can spend more time with his daughter. So
is he still living up in Marquette area or
Marquette, Michigan? Yes, definitely. Yeah. He was driving over to Minnesota actually. So he works for a large agent business. Donnie Meehan has got a company called New Sports, very successful. And Walt is responsible for finding the young players and really developing them. He really doesn't get involved too much in the actual agent business and negotiating contracts. So good to hear from him again.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Really like Walt.
Yes. All right. So first of all, we need to talk a little bit about my girls' high school hockey team. I get your impression. So we played a good team on Friday night, New Canaan. And New Canaan has a really good team, good program. Now, in the first time we played them, we played in a jamboree, so it was just a 20-minute game. We really felt like a lot of the girls just didn't believe that we could beat New Canaan.
Right.
So I think we got past that. We had a good first period of 0-0. And part of our problem is maintaining our tempo. Like when we get after them and forecheck strong and do all that stuff, we can really hang with them and create some opportunities and have a chance of winning. We just couldn't maintain that level. So it's something mentally. We have them in the gym. We have this gym called Combine up here. You'd like it. It's a really sports specific gym.
Right.
And you can even see in the workouts, some of the girls are very, they're commanding. They believe in themselves a lot. Yeah. Others a little bit more, they're teenagers, same way we were when we were teenagers, and a little bit more timid even in everything they do, So it's kind of like holding back a little bit. We're trying to get them to break out of that. So I don't know. What do you think? If you face that yourself when you're coach?
Well, yeah, at varying degrees. I've never really coached a female team.
Yeah.
Done some camps with them. Yeah. But it's that age as well. I mean, as you and I know, like things are different. Kids today are a little bit. I mean, when we played, you had to make a team. Now everybody's on a team because they want everybody to have what they call the high school experience, and I'm fine with that. In terms of intensity in the gym, I think it's human nature. You're going to see that at every level.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much. Well, you can see it a little bit in the NHL, but very rarely. But I mean,
it is true. Some of the girls already trained at this gym. There's 2 girls that are really, really tough competitors.
Take to it. Yeah.
So when they're in the gym, because they've done it so much, you can tell they feel totally confident. And I think that may be a little bit intimidating even to some of the other girls because they think, well, geez, I'm not that confident myself. So
I trained a girl by the name of Angelina McGuire for softball. I didn't train her for softball, but I did her strength and conditioning. Right. She ended up playing Division I up at Fairfield University in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And I would go see her play, and she played for Immaculate Heart Academy in New Jersey. There's like a IHA is known as a softball factory. They put a good amount of their kids into D1 programs. And she could play. I mean, she could play. And looking back upon it, I've always told her, because I still she's like 25 or 26 now. But she was probably one of the best athletes I've ever trained.
Oh, really?
She was really that good.
Man or woman? Man or woman?
Man or woman. Yeah, she just was very athletic. Yeah. I was able to do things with her that really were at a high level, some very complex type of things. And she could pull it off. It's not pulling it off. That's a bad word to say. She excelled at it.
Right.
And really just took to the training because she knew what the end result was on the field. Right. But you and I know there's some. Not everybody has that same drive. You know?
But you gotta think to yourself, come on, you gotta be able to, like, the head coach is fantastic too. And we both were talking, like, we want to get these girls to believe in themselves more, you know, that they can do this, not just so we can win, but we feel like that's our job. And you and I have talked about this as coaches. That's our job. It's like a life lesson, right? Helping these people.
Yeah, I think that's why. I'm sorry, John.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, maybe that's why I like the idea of breaking the game down into 5-minute segments.
Yeah.
And I had actually read about that a long time ago. Tony Esposito used to do that. He said, I play 5-minute game. I wouldn't let the team score. If they did, I'd restart the clock for 5 minutes. And I always try to give my team a goal. Like, if we keep the other team to 2 goals or less, we got a really good chance of winning this game. Sure. Gets north of 2 goals against, then it's going to be a battle. Let's make it simple. Let's possess the puck, because we know if we possess the puck 2/3 of the time, we're going to win. And kind of infuse into them very simple concepts that they can attain. And
that's definitely what's happening with our team. We need to get them. They're trying so hard. They're fantastic girls. They got huge hearts. They're doing what they think they need to do to try to help us win. But they're constantly trying to, like, bring the puck to the middle of the ice, going through the neutral zone, try to beat somebody with a toe drag. And we're trying to convince them, just chip and chase, you know, to get it past.
Keep it wide. Keep it out of the middle.
Yeah. So it's that. And I don't want to be critical, because I don't know the coaching they got before, so I don't want to make judgment. Right. It doesn't look like they've been coached in that kind of mentality. So.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, I've had the opportunity to coach 2 different college programs here in New Jersey. One was a Division II. It's club hockey. It's not varsity hockey, but at the Division II level, where my son Sean played at Montclair State, there were kids that played, junior, like tier 3 junior. There were some pretty good players. Then I coached for a couple of years Ramapo, right down the street here from me. They were Division III, a little bit of a drop down in the ability to play, but still fairly competitive. And the same concepts applied. I mean, I really, defense first. I always say, listen, in our end, it's discipline. You do you have to be where we want you to be. Yeah. Neutral zone, conservative, and then once you get over the blue line, that's your playground. Do your thing. Sure. But
yeah, definitely. So we were talking before the show. We wanted to chat a little bit today about 2 guys, particularly with the Rangers. Trouba has really come into his own, So when he first got here, this is his 3rd year, I guess, here now. When he first got here after being in Winnipeg, the team wasn't as good, and I really felt like he probably tried to do too much of what he's really not designed to do. Like, he is what he is showing right now, like big hits, solid defensive play, leadership, move the puck up quick,
scoring.
Right. So we got him, and so he's destroying people right now. Yeah. And then you've got Artemi Panarin, the bread man, who, when you watch him play, isn't a big guy. We were guessing. I said 175 was we weighed. We questioned whether that was accurate or not. It was that much. But he can't get knocked. It seems like people can't knock him down. So what's the difference? Obviously, Trouba is strong because he's a big, strong man. Panarin is strong because he's strong. He's not big. Yeah. So what's the difference there? How do those 2 guys get to where they're at?
Well, with Trouba, it's his size, but it's also, size can work against you too, because your center of gravity is up higher. Mm-hmm. So when he delivers an open ice hit, he's got to be lower. He's got to time it. So it's timing. I mean, those, like the hit he made last night, the one he made on McKinnon, and certainly the one, the first one he really annihilated the guy.
Oh, in Chicago. It was in
Chicago, correct. Yeah. It's timing. And those open ice hits, I think part of it too, Tom, is that the game's change and guys are getting a little lazy, having their head down.
Yeah, totally. We talked about this before, right? Where these kids are growing up now with the rules, and they think the rules and the referees are going to protect them. They don't have to keep their head up.
Plus, there's no body checking now till I think I've lost track, but they keep moving it up in the level. And I don't understand that, because but that's a topic for another day. So Trouba's strong. He knows how to time it. Really good leg strength. He braces himself, and he just goes through guys.
Yeah.
Whereas Panarin is number one, he's got the puck on a string, and as you played with the best player ever, Gretzky, and nobody ever really gets a piece of him. It's always a little bit. You're not really getting the guy, and they have that ability to spin off a check and still keep their edge and continue to skate. There's been a lot of players through the years that can do that. And I don't know Panarin. I've never met him, but I kind of feel he's the same type of guy, that the little wiry guy, small, but probably really strong. Yeah. Really strong kid.
And as much as he has fun, like he's laughing, he's got the leg kick after he scores and all that, competitive too, right?
Very competitive kid. Yeah. And so you have two different ends of the spectrum there. You got a big, strong, really aggressive, not aggressive, but he's aggressive. He kind of solid guy, and then this wiry, athletic kind of, and he dance on a pinhead kind of guy, with Panarin. But it still gets back to the same concept of that balance comes from strength training and doing, believe it or not, doing a lot of. It's going to sound crazy, but yoga would help because you're holding a position for a long time. I've tried. The first time I tried it, I was like, I can't do this. This is really hard. Yeah. And I think if you have that ability to hold a position, your balance and your core strength is going to get stronger. And it's timing and knowing when to brace yourself as well. Yeah.
Well, you said the core strength to me. I know we talked this before. That's the thing I learned. Like I wish I don't know if we talked about core strength back when I played. It was there, but we didn't really understand it or get trained for it. And now, doing all stuff on the Bosu ball and all, sort of standing on one foot. Like I've told you before, I feel better than I've ever felt. Back pain and all that kind of stuff.
I also think people sometimes get confused when we talk about the core. They think it's just the abs only. No, it's the abs. It's a low back. But guess what else is? It's your hip flexors and it's your glutes. Because like hockey players, especially guys that really play for a long period of time, have a problem. They got to buy pants that the waist is bigger because their butt gets so big, right? And that's where the strength comes from. That's where the power comes from. I mean, if you look at weightlifters, you look at guys who can really squat, and Olympic lifters, huge. And we talk about this athletic chain in my business, and that's really the core, the abs, the low back, hip flexors, glutes, and even the hamstrings. So that's where you get your balance. That's where you get your power.
And a trainer told me one time, you probably want to get your feelings on this too. If you really want to increase your squatting ability, hip thrusters are one of the best things you can do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's, you're familiar with Louis Simmons, West Side Barbell.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because he trains the guys for the deadlift.
Yeah.
And they very rarely deadlift.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's all the supporting group of muscles and everything that goes into the deadlift. And
deadlift is a glorious exercise too. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I did probably 4 or 5 years ago. I was getting up close to 500 pounds, so I was feeling pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and I had one day where I went in there. I think it was like at 475, so I should have been able to get it. Yeah, I didn't get it, and it was one of the best workouts I ever had because I got just totally mad at myself. I was in the zone. The gym was crowded, but I wasn't paying attention to anybody else. I wasn't trying to put on a show or whatever, and so I posed myself, went back and tried to do it again, failed again. Another blood pressure got going, and it felt great in a way that I failed. And instead of just quitting, I kept back. I think like on the 5th time, I finally had gotten to the point where I said, I'm going to die or this weight's coming off the ground.
Yeah.
And you get to that point where you're getting it up and you're halfway up your shins and the body starts to shake a little bit.
Yeah, you get that.
And then I fought through it and got it up. And I didn't realize, and I can be cocky, but I really wasn't putting on a show. But once I got it up and dropped it, I had about 10 guys come running over to me. That's the best thing I've ever seen. I guess they're watching.
Yeah. No, it's true. Deadlifting is an absolute strength. So the bar has no inertia. It's not like going down and going back. It's dead. It's a deadlift. And my son Sean, who's really long and lanky, but he's got that sinewy kind of muscle where he's just shredded and he's really strong. I had him deadlifting really at about 10 years of age, really light, just to learn the movement, to get that. And then in high school, he was deadlifting like 385, 400, 4 something, weighing at about 150, 160. But in fact, I'll put it on Facebook. You know how they show you stuff from today's date, like
Right. Yeah.
And it's from probably when he was his senior year of high school, standing, motionless, doing a box jump on a 52-inch box, just standing still, boom, up. I mean, he could dunk a tennis ball when he was a freshman. I really think that's from all that heavy deadlifting he did.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, I had a buddy of mine at the same gym too, and he was a pretty strong kid. He'd actually gone to an instructor to teach him how to deadlift, and he came back and he said the instructor said to him, "Take the slack out." Like, like you think so the bar bends a little bit when you get enough weight on it.
Yep.
So he says you take the slack. I love that saying. Like if you get a metal bar and you're taking the slack out, right? I just thought that was so cool. I agree with you. You need to learn to do it properly. I even recommend, and I want to hear what you feel with this. The hex bar is
yes.
So you're standing, you're not leaning over as much for the bar. It's more like
right. There's less chance of lower back injury. Think about the deadlift with the traditional bar. There's two, you got the conventional grip, which is palm over, feet kind of shoulder width. Yep. And then you have sumo where your hands are on the inside of your body. Yeah. And most of us will do a split grip, so over and under. Right. And the bar travels less,
right?
So you can get more. But it also really, I think the sumo really gets that part, that chain we're talking. I mean, they're both fantastic. Right. I mean, tremendous. Problem is most gyms won't let you deadlift because they don't like the loud boom.
Yeah, I know.
There was a gym.
You don't have to let it go, but it does feel good to let it go.
Well, sometimes, you just do. There was a gym, and this is years ago, ironically called Westside Barbell.
Right.
And it was down in Rutherford, New Jersey. It was like a dirt floor, like you spit, you did everything. So it was just for just for power lifters and just animals. And I used to train there with Pat DePuzzo once in a while. Or Pat was a linesman for years.
Linesman, sure, yeah.
Yeah, I've known Pat. He's a local guy. I've known him forever.
Right. Yeah. Good guy, too. He's funny on the ice.
Oh, yeah. But it was fun because, you just go in there and you really get into that mentality because it's just pure testosterone-driven place.
Yeah. Anybody that doesn't know, Westside Barbell is a place, but it's actually a training method. Mainly, and correct me if I'm wrong, mainly to help you with your bench press, your squat, and your deadlifts.
The three big lifts for power lift. Yeah.
So you do twice a week on upper body, twice a week on lower body. The idea is you do the one time a week, you do all heavy, low reps, heavy weight. The next time it's higher reps, really quick speed. It beats up your body pretty good. You can't keep doing it for too long, right?
That's why you need the recovery in there. I've done over the years a bazillion different workouts. Most of them were what we called the old Eastern Bloc nations when the Soviet Union had like Romania. Romania pumped out a whole bunch of Olympic lifters. And there was one of the coaches, Tudor Bompa, B-O-M-P-A. He wrote a book, it's my Bible, called Training Methodologies. And in it, I mean, it's a gift from God, honestly. It's so good. But they believed in especially for those, because don't forget, Olympic lifts are just 2 lifts, snatch, and then a clean and jerk. So that's pretty much all they do. They do some squatting, they do some pulling, but their methodology, if you can kind of play with it a little bit, it works with everything. And I've had a bodybuilder one time. I put 100 pounds on a squat in 1 month, doing an Eastern method of training, which is lower reps, percentage-based training.
Wow, very cool. So Barry Shelley's asking a question here. Mark, I love the video of your page of LA.
Oh,
Mark.
Yeah.
Where's he from and how old is he?
Yeah, so what the story with Marshall is, so what Barry's talking about, I have a young man, he's 7 years old. He lives in Los Angeles. And I FaceTime train him for boxing.
Yes.
So I put a video up yesterday. Him. You could see the the dad put the iPhone on a tripod, and you could hear me chirping, and Marshall's boxing, and you could see him. So what happened, Barry, was about a year ago or so, right before COVID hit, his mom used to work with Beth, and she took a job with Sony Entertainment. So the whole family moved to Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And as soon as they landed in Los Angeles, COVID restrictions hit. And at that time, Marshall was like 6, and he's a middle child. And he kind of struggled a little bit because he kind of conflated moving to LA with the COVID restrictions. And it's kind of a difficult thing to explain to a young kid. So I guess she was talking to Beth, and I said, hey, maybe, we could give it a shot. I'll try to FaceTime train him, and it'll give him an outlet. It'll give him something to do physically. Sure. And that's what we did. And I went into this thinking, what's the percentage that's really working? Probably pretty low. Mm. Worked out tremendous.
Really?
We do 20 minutes because then they start to wander a little bit, Like yesterday he's working out in his PJs. All right.
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah, because it's 9 o'clock in LA. It's noon here.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, he's getting it. He's putting his punches and movement and everything together. So I wonder, Tom, if it's possible that because these kids for a year were homeschooled via that they're really learning more visually than anything else now before. I don't know, but he's a cute little boy, and I'm happy Barry enjoyed it because it was pretty cool.
Very cool. Yeah. So do you think you could train more boxers like that, like virtually?
Boxers, no. I mean, you can, but if they're going to fight, it's hands-on because we have to do pad work, and I've got to be throwing punches. They got to learn how to slip, slide, catch, and parry. And all.
You know what I always wanted to know? So I watched the video of you training that young lady that you're training as well.
Oh, Amanda hug and kiss.
Yeah, I didn't see that. I just started boxing. So you got the pads on that she's punching into. Correct. Why? And I've seen all other trainers do it. So you get her to jab, and then at some point as the trainer, you go over the top of her head with the pad.
Yeah. Because so what would happen is in a basic 1-2, which is a jab followed by a right cross, if I were to slip those punches, I'm going to come back with a left hook. So that's simulating the left hook coming back at them, and then they have to roll under it and come back with the right hand over the top. So yeah, that's pretty much what.
So when you're doing that, is it the same pattern of punches all the time, or you're constantly changing it up? You're giving her different targets all the time.
Give her different targets. Give her different punch combinations. So like, 1, 2, 3 is so we number punches. So jab's a 1, 2's a cross, 3's a hook, 4's an uppercut, basically. So if I say give me a 1, 2, 3, it's going to be a jab, cross, left hook. Or I may say 1, 2, 2, which is a jab, cross, reload, and then another 2. So I can give her. Well, she just started with me, like with guys and professionals, especially. I can say, give me a 4-piece, slide out, give me a 2, 3. Meaning 1, 2, 3, 4. They slide out, and then they give me a 2, 3. Right. That kind of thing.
So you're trying to change it up all the time, like you're not.
So and basically what you're doing is you're trying to replicate what's going to happen when you have the gloves on.
Gotcha. Yeah. I remember when I was in college, Muhammad Ali came up to Northern Michigan University on a show. Yeah. Now at that point, I thought I was the toughest guy on the planet. So
you were.
Yeah. So as long as I thought that, he was walking by me. I swear to God, I had this thought: I'm going to sucker punch him. Right? I'm getting a fight with Muhammad Ali. I was actually working security. Place. So I was, I had like a yellow tee. I remember this. I'll never forget that. So he was walking by, and I said, "Oh, I want to fight him."
Probably would have been a bad outcome. I'm just,
I know. Bad idea. They actually had a tough man competition up there where you get in the ring. Coach would let me get in it. It was I wanted to do it, but
well, it's funny because I was on the phone yesterday with Nathan, our friend. Nathan.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And he's coaching St. Mary's.
Oh, that's right.
And what is it? The Greater Toronto.
Yep.
League. Yeah. And I guess the game Sunday where they won like 6 or 7 in a row now. His son, his middle kid Kevin is playing for them, and I guess it got a little chippy.
Oh.
And there was some words exchanged between the head coaches, and Nathan's helping out, right?
Yeah.
And I guess one of the other guys doesn't know who Nathan was,
right.
And he started to like challenge him. And Nathan's going, "No, I don't think you want to do that."
I know. I did that when I was coaching with Tonelli, John Tonelli. I told you he was an intense man all the time. He's the same way he coached, and we were playing at a pretty high level. Like I think the team was at one point ranked like 5th or 6th in the country, and these are your U14 kids.
Yeah,
and we had a couple of confrontations with the other coaches too, and our kids, like 14-year-olds, like because they knew
sure,
played the NHL and fought.
They were hoping to see something pop off, probably.
Yeah, I know, and they were like, "Oh, coach, that was cool. That was
cool." Yeah. Speaking of the balance, going back to balance. I don't know if it ever happened to you because you're a big guy, but I can remember more than once, like a D-man will post up and he doesn't look that big, like he's 5'9", 5'10", and I would come flying in. I go, okay, he just didn't move,
Yeah.
But that's another part of it, stationary balance.
Yeah, right? Totally. So here's Daniel Vivian, who's there when Muhammad Ali was in McKay. I was in the security also. I was there. Daniel, wow, interesting. Okay. Yeah, that was good stuff. So if you get a young player coming to you like a Panarin that's like a 15-year-old kid and he's a good player, so he says, okay, I want you to train me. I want to be like Panarin. You can't knock me down. Where do you start with him then for training?
You're not Panarin.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
So let's talk about what your attributes are. What are your strong points? Let's magnify those and pull up the weak points,
Right.
But at that
go ahead.
I think at that age, the training is pretty much uniform for any athlete. And even when I was with professional teams, there were times when I have a different workout, like Eric Lindros. I didn't want him to get any bigger.
Yeah.
Peter Nedved, I wanted him to get bigger.
Right.
What, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But in general, everything's the same.
Yeah, definitely. I struggle with something once in a while. So I hear a lot of people say that, especially in youth hockey, getting through to the kids and the parents that, listen, you're not going to play in the National Hockey.
Right.
And I get why they say that, because they don't want people getting like, okay, I have to do this because he's going to get to the National. The other side of it, though, is that I don't like is that people say that why not say to the kid, listen, yes, you can play in the National Hockey. That doesn't mean that you give up your schooling. That doesn't mean you act differently. Right. But if you want to play in the National Hockey League, yeah, you should strive to play in the National Hockey League. So I guess I struggle with that a bit. I know why coaches and other people say that.
I think you're correct. I don't think you want to ever tell a kid he can't do anything. He or she can't do anything. What I would say is what you and I've been, you did it because you played in the National Hockey League. I've had success in other areas, but point is, just as we always say, if you want to get to the NHL, then make sure that every day you're doing something to make yourself better than you were yesterday.
Yeah, and it's not just like taking the helicopter to the top of the mountain. You got to climb the stairs to get to the top of the mountain. Right?
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of hard work involved.
Yeah, definitely. And again, making sure that so you don't sacrifice others. You got to have a good education. You have to treat people properly.
Right. You got to be a good citizen.
Yeah. And that's changed, and I'm happy that's changed over the years too, because it used to be with making it to the NHL, we used to go by the KISS theory, like keep it simple, stupid, right? That you didn't want guys that were too smart. Yeah, it's true. And I remember even when I got in the agent business, if I met a really smart kid or a kid from a wealthy neighborhood, I was like, nah, he's not going to play. But now I think that's changed totally. I mean, I think the intelligent kids, they train properly, they eat properly.
You're getting more college kids playing hockey now as well.
Yeah. I had one kid really good on that U14 team. I won't miss his name. I get in trouble. But he played was it the final?
Wait a second. Beth, you got to do a cameo and say hello. Come here.
Beth is here.
Yeah. She's filling up her water bottle. Just do a drive-by real quick.
Come on, Beth, please.
Tom is begging, Beth.
Beth, please. I'm down on my knees. I'm begging.
She's not the star in the family. It's Sophie. No, Beth, just come by, just wave and go.
Please, Beth.
She is the most hydrated person on the planet.
Is that right?
She is never without her water bottle.
I can see this. I can see the.
Yeah.
I can see her. There she is, Beth. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Wait, she can't hear you. Hold on a second.
Go ahead. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
We talk about you every show, pretty much. We talk about
this way or
something. With this one?
Yeah.
What are you running
today? Matching hats.
You two look like twins.
That's
not fair to you. That's not fair to you.
Nothing's really fair to me. No.
Nice to meet you. She's a sweetheart. She's a sweetheart. We finally get Beth on. That's fantastic.
She's a saint.
That's good. All right. Well,
but the thing again, going back to the kids, Tom.
I think you want kids that want to make it to the NHL.
Yeah, totally.
You don't want a kid to just go, if I make it, I make it. I don't care.
But it's got to be that they understand. Like I say to them all the time, I was never the best player on any team I ever played on. I played a role. I knew my role for whatever reason. I think it came from my father and grandfather on the farm, the work ethic, and that's how I made it. It's not about being the best player on the team or taking the puck and going end to end all the time. It's being that player that plays a certain role. All teams need defensive defensemen and forecheck. The forwards to get in and forecheck. It's not all about scoring goals. So yeah.
Well, I think also along with that is that every guy that made it to the NHL growing up was the hardest worker on every team he played.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
And just Sophie stuff.
All right. Sophie.
She's waiting for a treat. But the guys, first guy on the ice, last guy off the ice, would surprise people who it is.
Yeah, totally.
It's Brian Leach. It's this guy. It's Gretzky. It's that guy. They think it just comes to them that they don't work for it. No, they work extremely hard. Really.
I'll never forget that at the end of my career when I was out there. Gretzky was there. Larry Robinson was there. And come practice time, those guys, they went out and have beers the night before with everybody else. But when it came practice time, they were the hardest workers and loving it too. Like they really enjoyed the grind, the skating. And that's why, and I know we talked about this before, like I've really come to believe that you shouldn't be using like skating as a punishment.
Correct.
Like,
Yeah. No.
skates. It should be showing them that this helps you get better and enjoy it, not judgery. Yeah. So, but we all did. The fact is, I did it when I coached too, and I just.
Well, I think the coaching mentality back then was to use it as discipline. Now we understand it that it's actually conditioning. But I'll tell you a real quick story about
Hold on.
Eric Lindros.
Barry's jumping in here. I like that, Barry. Keep going. Don't quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get him a tryout.
There you go. That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, so we went on a long trip. I don't think we played well. Probably lost 4 out of 5, one of those kind of trips. We came back, and Ronnie said on the bus going back to get our cars, I don't want anybody at the rink tomorrow. And I had Brian Berard and another kid. I figured, can we skate? I said, yeah, I'm going to be there, so we'll skate. So anyway, it was like 6 guys. Danny Blackburn is coming back from something. So we were doing some in-zone stuff just on him. About an hour, everybody's going off the ice, and who's coming on is Eric Lindros.
Oh.
And I stayed on with him for another 45 minutes. Just he wanted me to do some certain drills with him. But point is, he's a pretty good player. And he was not supposed to be there, but there was something bothering him that he wanted to work on.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree totally. Yeah, it's just, and you can't manufacture. You just have to have passion for it, right? They really
got to be real.
Yeah, cool, good.
And then
all right, well, big afternoon coming up here. Maybe I'll go. I haven't broken my fast yet, but I think I'll go to Costco before. That's the real challenge. If you go to Costco, you're breaking the fast. There's all the samples there.
Yeah.
Oh, the cookies. They got the Christmas cookies out now and everything. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to challenge myself today. So.
Yeah, it's a good mental discipline.
Yeah, definitely.
Some work.
Definitely. All right. Good to see you, my brother.
Always, man. Have a good week.
Talk to you next week.
Okay, man.